Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Clarissa Bea, and I'm Union Pacific's Chief Communications Officer, and I'm really excited that you joined us so you could learn more about and ask questions about nearshoring and best practices for shipping to and from Mexico. I'm hoping that you'll leave here armed with knowledge and information about nearshoring, how it impacts your business, and how to plan ahead for growth. Today, we have three experts with deep industry experience, and they are here to share their knowledge. We have Beto Vargas. He's the Vice President for Mexico Marketing and Sales here at Union Pacific, and he has more than 20 years of experience in the industry, including roles at Ferromex, Werner Enterprises, and the Mexican International Association. He leads our Union Pacific international business strategy and is responsible for working with customers, other railroads, and suppliers in multiple government agencies. And as I said, he's based in Mexico, and today he's going to be covering the nearshoring landscape. We also have Eric Geringer. He joined Union Pacific in 2006, and he serves as our Executive Vice President of Operations. So he's responsible for all aspects of Union Pacific's operations, as well as our engineering and mechanical departments. And Eric is going to talk about the nearshoring capabilities that we have and the opportunities that you have with us. And then last but certainly not least, we have Carrie Kirchhofer. She's been with Union Pacific for over 30 years. She's our Senior Vice President of Premium Marketing and Sales. She previously held leadership positions across many of our different business types, including industrial, bulk, customer care and support, and even our subsidiary company, Loop. And Carrie's going to close out the conversation before we jump into Q&A to talk to you about some nearshoring best practices and benefits. Before we jump in, there is a tiny little housekeeping. This legal disclaimer, the big thing here is we are not talking about pricing, contracts, or anything that may fall in the antitrust category. We're here today to arm you with information and equip you with greater knowledge about nearshoring and our capabilities in the space. Next, you'll notice if you want to ask questions, the chat is disabled, but you can ask questions by scanning this QR code or using the Q&A feature. So you'll scan this code, you'll see it on each slide in case a question pops up, and I've saved time at the end so we can ask your questions and you'll really have a chance to hear our experts answer them. Please also note we are recording and transcribing this session, so we won't address attendees by name. If you're uncomfortable, don't worry. We are making sure that if you have any issues with us recording or transcribing, we ask that you leave the meeting now. All right, we're going to jump in. So one thing you're going to hear throughout, and that if you're familiar with Union Pacific, you may have heard it before, but our strategy is focused on safety, service, and operational excellence. And we know if we do those things well, and as we do those things well, that is going to help you grow. That's going to help us do business with you. And so I'm going to introduce a video that talks a bit more about our strategy, and then we're going to jump in to hear from our experts. When a bold team rises on machines of steel and gold, buffed and buffered with passion and pride, we become the fleet. We rise to defy all obstacles and to beat all odds, knowing winning is the pursuit of what is possible. Building bridges and scaling mountains, we weather frost and fire. Connecting at the intersection of imagination and innovation, we are Union Pacific. Our strategy, safety, service, and operational excellence is our key to growth. To be the best at safety, we look out for each other. We carry goods with courage and care for customers counting on us, safeguarding communities depending on us, ensuring everyone makes it home. To deliver the service we sold our customers, we bring food and fuel to nourish the land, grow economies, heat homes and hearths. We energize industries, moving construction cargo, chemicals, petroleum, and plastics. We transport transportation, hauling finished vehicles and their parts for all major manufacturers. We move the world, serving all 6 major gateways, leading service to and from Mexico, sustainably connecting our continent with commerce from across the globe. We do this with operational excellence, powered by predictable precision, speed, reliability, and resilience. We are thoughtful about asset utilization, empowering those closest to the work to make the best decisions. We exercise cost control, spending resources wisely with a buffer for the unexpected. We know people make everything possible and engage our teams and stakeholders listening to their needs and investing in their success. We are legend and legacy, steam and dreams, made of the engines that shaped our nation. We are one fleet. Born from steel and powered by will, we carry the weight of the freight that fuels our world. We are Union Pacific. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Beto Vargas, our Vice President of Mexico Marketing and Sales. Beto.
Thank you, Clarissa, and good afternoon to all our audience this afternoon. So I'm going to talk about our Mexico presence, a little bit on the trade we have with the United States. We're going to address the nearshoring trends and what we're doing to fulfill the market's needs on that. So first of all, this is what Mexico represents for Union Pacific. This is our franchise. We are mostly 11% of the total UP volume that we move. We have a unique presence in Mexico. We interchange with the Mexican railroads from west to east over the 6 existing gateways that there are today. We start at Calexico, Nogales, El Paso, and Eagle Pass, where we interchange with Ferromex, and then at Laredo and Brownsville, where we interchange with the CPKC. Our business mix is divided between premium, which represents almost 60% of our total volume mix. In premium, we see products like finished vehicles, auto parts moved in containers, and intermodal, basically. Followed by bulk, where we have 21% of our volume, mostly driven by beer, grain products, and grain moving into Mexico. And industrial, representing 20% of it, where we have commodities like steel, construction products, and LPG, petroleum products, and finished fuels. We have a bilingual presence in Mexico, commercial and operating allocated in specific points, mostly in the main markets in Mexico City, Monterrey, and throughout the ramps that we serve within the Mexican network. And we have our international customer service center based in Laredo, also bilingual, to address all the needs that our customer have. Next. So talking about the trade between Mexico and the United States, I wanted to share this chart mostly to show you all that Mexico is a strong partner, trade partner with the United States. If we go back to the history, and I will address 1994. We're starting from 1994 all the way to 2024. So that's when we signed the NAFTA agreement, the first free trade agreement between Mexico, United States, and Canada. You can see here in the chart that by those days, Mexico represented the largest trade partnership with the United States. Mostly these are imports of the United States coming from these 3 different countries. So Mexico had an important share by then. Canada was the first one, then followed by Mexico, and then China. As we started with the NAFTA, or this free trade agreement, our exports to the United States started to grow, our share started to grow. But then when China appeared in the World Trade Organization and they showed up with these free trade agreements as well, or mostly going into this environment of the World Trade Organization, they started growing their exports to the United States at a fastest pace. The Mexican exports kept growing, mostly in 3 main chapters, same as China. Those chapters are manufacturing goods like appliances, machinery, electronic equipment, and definitely on the auto industry, finished vehicles and auto parts. So China started growing at a fastest pace. Then Mexico kept growing, but in a lower pace than China. And that's when China passed Canada and Mexico as on the trade partnership with the United States. Then the aftermath kept that trend in a similar position. We had the crisis of the 2008 and 2009. Things mostly changed a little bit between Mexico and Canada. But then as we saw these trade tensions between U.S. and China, we started seeing Mexican exports revamping somehow and then getting a better traction. And then that's when the nearshoring trend started. I think it's important to mention that Mexico, within this partnership that we have on trade with the United States, we have been doing nearshoring at least for the last 30 years. This is probably the third or fourth wave that we see nearshoring coming into Mexico with this strong push. And I think it will continue coming as we see these tensions growing and as we see these actions that are taken by the two countries, Mexico and the United States. I mean, 10 days ago, Mexico announced the raise of tariffs in 540 products to China. The same situation did the United States 2 days ago. So this nearshoring trend will continue to happen. Next, please. So this is what nearshoring is standing right now. We've seen, to the end of 2023, we had an accumulation of investments announced in Mexico for $110 billion, plus additional $31 billion that have been announced to the end of the first quarter of 2024. The main industries where we see these nearshoring are the same ones that I mentioned: automotive, aerospace, electronics, appliances, mostly concentrated in central Mexico and Monterrey. I think it's important to mention that these are announcements. We haven't seen the implementation of all these announcements started yet. I mean, there are quite a few plants that have started construction. There are some others that have started operations, but the whole part of it is not yet being implemented. The expectation is for these investments to happen within the next 12 to 18 months. And definitely nearshoring is taking the advantage of the unparalleled proximity that we have to the United States and Canada. When I say we have, I mean the Mexico as a whole. Yes, nearshoring is about low labor costs, is about the availability of land, is about cross-border infrastructure. But when we think about nearshoring, bottom line, it's all about transportation and supply chain solutions. With that, we will face challenges as we see the peak of demand growing for transportation needs. We will see we will see customers or shippers in Mexico demanding capacity, availability, demanding drivers that are at both sides of the border. Once they hit the border, they will be demanding trucks and drivers as well. We will see some increase on the utilization of the highways as well. So we will have challenges that we will need to face. And with that, we Union Pacific are well positioned to capitalize what nearshoring demand will be, as we have in place a series of offerings that we're doing for that. With this, I'm going to transition to the next slide, please. So talking about nearshoring and this demand that I'm talking about, today the rail industry of Mexico on the cross-border transportation trade value that happens between Mexico and the United States holds 15% of that trade value that happens on a yearly basis. When we translate that into what is the specific market of truckload, the rail industry holds only 3% of all that value that is traded between Mexico and the United States. But what does this mean? And I'm going to put this in more in easier numbers. The Texas A&M Research Institute has found that 18,000 trucks cross the border every day for trade between Mexico and the United States. The rail industry holds 3% of that. There are other commodities commodities like grain, like steel, metals, where the share of the railroads is higher, and that is why it totals 15%. But setting aside carload, referring only to where intermodal is, this is the share that we have. So this is the size of the opportunity. This is where we are focusing our efforts, and this is how we think we're going to grow and address the market. Next. So in order to achieve what I'm mentioning, we're introducing these new products. You have heard about them as we introduced them last year, and as we keep expanding our service offering. We have our Falcon Premium product, where we have partnered with Ferromex, and the CN is the best-in-class product. We take the advantage of the unique access that we have to Mexico to offer this unparalleled product and unmatched services in transit time, in the consistency of the service. We run it on a daily basis out of Silao and Monterrey to connect with the Midwest of the United States and then to all the markets in Canada. It's fast, it's seamless, it's a reliable product. And then we still will interchange in Chicago to get to Canada, so we can actually take the benefits even to have heavy loads going from Mexico all the way into Canada, as they won't be touching the highways in the United States. Then we also have expanded our intermodal offering to the southeast markets of the United States. Now we have the ability to have our whole fleet, the UP containerized fleet, to cover all the United States market. So it's one type of container that can cover all the destinations in the United States. This is also being offered out of Silao and Monterrey. And then as we continue evolving our service offering out of Mexico within intermodal and with all our services products, we continue enhancing the utilization of the gateways, and we have operating initiatives mostly to become efficient at the different gateways that we operate. I can give you the example of what we're doing in Eagle Pass, in this co-location center between the Mexican Customs Agency and the CBP, where we have built this facility. They're sitting together as they're scanning the train and is crossing in any of both directions, whether south or north. Both authorities are looking at the same imaging, and if there's something that they identify as a train crosses, they will take decisions on it. What happened before, the train was scanned by Mexican agency in Mexico, and then it was scanned in the United States by the CBP. This is becoming efficient, and we have better utilization of the bridge, and with that, we have been able to grow. The number of trains that we cross on a daily basis has gone up compared from October of 2023, where we were crossing average 13 trains per day. Today, we're crossing up to 19 trains per day at the Eagle Pass Gateway. So those are kind of the border initiatives we're implementing to address the growth that we're seeing in our services. We have also removed transit time in our Eagle and Falcon Premium services to address the markets that we're serving into and out of Mexico. And with that, Clarissa, I want to thank you all and translate the mic to Eric.
Thank you. And now we'll hear from Eric, our Executive Vice President of Operations. He'll talk a bit more about our capabilities and some new opportunities that hopefully you'll find interesting. Eric.
Excellent. Good afternoon. So let's start by talking about the breadth of our network and how I can really help to support you getting to anywhere in the United States where we serve. So let's start at the very foundation. As we think about entrance points into the United States, we often start the conversation around our ports and our border crossings, both with Canada and Mexico. And as you can see in this chart, and as Beto explained on the Canadian and the Mexican side, we have an extensive network. Within that network, we have the ability, as we are doing right now, to handle more than 40% of all of our volume that originates in one of these locations. And when we talk about volume, we're talking about 1 million different loads that come in each year to our border crossings and nearly 2 million that come into our ports. So we'll get into the intermodal market more, but the origin of much of that business starts in one of these locations, and we have sufficient capacity to be able to continue to grow that volume over many years ahead of us. Next slide, please. Now, once you're in the network of Union Pacific, you have then the additional opportunity to be able to expand all the different locations you go to, because we interchange at 600 different locations across our network. And to help put that in some perspective, 40% of all the volume that we handle every day or that we give to others every day comes through one of those partners. And as we think about expanding your reach, even into locations where we don't directly serve, that's what gives you the additional flexibility to truly get anywhere in the western part of the United States, starting on the Union Pacific. Next slide, please. Now, we're going to go through a couple slides that really talk about investment. Generally, we will invest between $3.5 and $4 billion in our railroad every single year. About half of that is in the renewal of our existing infrastructure. We want to ensure that we spend about $2 billion replacing what's already in the tracks to make sure that we have a safe and efficient railroad. A fair portion, about $500 million a year after that, is then invested in what we call capacity and commercial facilities. And these take different forms. Sometimes they're partners that we have approached us about locating one of their facilities on our railroad. Other times it's about making sure that as we look into the future, based on our customers' demands, both present and future customers, that we have enough capacity. So we go in and we install additional track, or we upgrade the speed of some of our track. Now, down in the southeast, where you see here in the map, this is really investment that focuses on terminal capacity and more mainline capacity. Terminal capacity allows us to ensure that as volume comes to the railroad, we can safely and efficiently handle that with the strongest eye towards our service product, which is largely driven by how fast can we move those cars. Then on the mainline capacity, that's about making sure that between the terminals we stay equally efficient and we have great speed so that we can deliver the service product that our customers expect of us. So in total, just in the last 10 years, $3.3 billion invested just in this portion of our railroad. And remember, a railroad is 32,000 miles, and this is one of the most important areas. So that's why we put so much of our capital investment in this area. In addition, as Beto pointed out, our partnership with the Customs and Border Patrol is extremely important. We've demonstrated a strong partnership in many different ways. It starts fundamentally in that we have our special agents and our managers working directly with the CBP on a daily basis, hearing their concerns, working to resolve them hearing our concerns and working to resolve them. We also do joint investments. Here over just the last handful of years, more than $50 million has been invested by the Union Pacific into specific border crossings. That is ranging everything from, to Beto's point, about building actual new buildings so that we can house the two entities together, to ensuring that both entities are continuing to invest in infrastructure that gets beyond just buildings, making sure that we have fencing that can properly protect your freight as it comes across Mexico onto the U.S. side. So we'll continue to make strong investments in this portion of our network. But again, I'm highlighting this because it's where we make the most investments. The rest of the network still gets significant investments on an annual basis. Next. Now, let's go another layer down and let's talk about our intermodal and our auto network. In total, you can see here on the map, 62 different facilities. And when you think about these facilities, think about them half as intermodal, half as autos. On the intermodal side, these facilities range from, I'll say, relatively small facilities of, say, 50,000 lifts per year, all the way up to facilities in which we can handle more than 500,000 lifts per year. What's critically important about that in the context of nearshoring is we have latent capacity on our network right now. We have intermodal terminals in which, as volume is coming onto our railroad, which would be new volume, we don't have to build a bigger yard. We don't have to get more locomotives. We don't have to get more cranes. We have that capacity right now. And yet, we don't ever want to find ourselves short. So we make investments every single year into our intermodal and auto ramps. Specifically, in this case, 900,000 lifts have been added just in the last 2 years. We also have some incredibly important projects strategically for our growth in the future. So thinking about the Inland Empire, which is a new intermodal ramp that we're building right in the heart of the LA Basin, where it's a huge concentration of distribution centers. We've built that up from no lifts to just to 140,000 lifts in just about a little bit more than a year, with plans to be able to build that all the way to 500,000. We're actually building a brand new intermodal facility in Kansas City. We're adding another 150,000 lifts to our facility in Lathrop in Northern California. And I could go on and on. The point being, as you look for opportunities to utilize the railroad for your nearshoring, we have the capacity today and will continue to make the investments to ensure we have the capacity in the future. Next, please. And then as we think about those terminals, a really key objective of ours is, as we think about volume growth, we know that investing in our customers' efficiency is a key way to ensure that they're successful in the market. One of the ways that we support that initiative is to ensure that as customers come into and out of our terminals, they can do it in the most efficient manner. So what you see on the right-hand side here are just a handful of many examples in which we've made investments to make that process as seamless as possible. So precision gate technology. At our ramps now, you no longer have to stop at a kiosk and actually punch in numbers or pick up a phone to call somebody. Using our UP Go app and being pre-registered, you actually can simply drive up, and technology identifies the fact that you're there. This is your box. This is your parking spot. The gate opens up, and within about 45 seconds or less, you're in the ramp, compared to 5 to 10 minutes before. That same technology is used on the outbound side as well. All right, getting people into the ramp on the inbound side is good, but we've got to make sure we're doing that on the back end as well. And this technology does that. Now, the UP Go app doesn't just allow you to get into our ramps in the most efficient manner. It also provides your drivers the opportunity to get pre-educated about our ramps before they even come on for the first time. We have information that shows schematics of every ramp, pointing out specific important areas like parking lot A and parking lot B. We also have videos in which it's a very detailed flyover. So at the end of the day, when your drivers come in, or the drivers you use to come in, they feel entirely prepared to be able to come into the ramp as efficiently as possible with the information they need so that they drive your efficiency and drive growth for both of us. And then finally, on the API side, we know that more than ever, the communication in real time of information makes both entities successful. We want to ensure that we continue to expand that, providing as much information as our customers need to ensure that they understand not just the location of their box or their cars, but other opportunities as they think about our service product and making sure that we're delivering it. So again, these are just a couple examples of many, but we continue to make investments across the board.
Thank you, Eric. And now we're going to hear from Carrie. She's going to give us some best practices about cross-border shipping and the benefits, removing trucks from the road, and reducing your carbon footprint. Carrie.
Yes, so thank you, Clarissa, and thanks to everybody for attending today. As they mentioned earlier, I just wanted to highlight, Beto had told you 60% of his book of business is premium. That's the area that my commercial team handles. So we have all finished vehicles, automotive parts, domestic and international intermodal. I am going to kind of close out with things you should think about. If you're a transportation manager and you're trying to get your freight into and out of Mexico, here's 5 things that we think that you should consider. First, we'll deep dive in on capacity and making sure that you have committed capacity. We'll talk a little bit about competitive transits north and south. What does your environmental footprint look like for your transportation solution? Talk about total delivered costs and then the customs process. So if you flip to the next slide, we'll start with capacity. And so from a capacity perspective, when you talk Mexico, I think it's really important to talk about, do you have committed capacity? As we all know, the Mexico market is very unbalanced, heavy northbound versus southbound. For my area, which is specifically intermodal, we're going to deep dive into the availability of that capacity. So in North America, there are over 300,000 containers that are accessible to customers to move on an intermodal shipment. Union Pacific has our own fleet that we call EMP and UMAX. It's a joint program with the CSX and the Norfolk Southern being the other two largest providers. We are the biggest provider of this shared fleet. We have over 80,000 containers that are in that program, and they can move all across North America. In addition to that, I think you need to then sit down and say, okay, so I've got a container. What about committed capacity from an MCP perspective? So we have a mutual commitment program where we commit capacity, which is a container. We also commit a rate, and the customer commits freight. Now, in addition to our own fleet of containers, we also have several large private asset customers that move on Union Pacific. Hub and STG Group would be two of those that are increasing the overall availability of equipment to you. If you flip to the next slide. In today's day and age, I think it's really important for you to look at your carbon footprint that your transportation provider is emitting. For us, on average, U.S. freight railroads, not just UP, but U.S. freight railroads can move 1 ton of freight nearly 500 miles on a single gallon of gas. When you compare that, that generates a carbon footprint that is 75% less than an over-the-road truck. So your carbon footprint is significantly reduced. In addition to that, I want to talk a little bit about the border congestion. This is very current in our environment today. When you look at videos of the amount of trucks that are stacked up north and southbound trying to get into and out of Mexico, we can offer a seamless solution to cross the border. And then finally, the railroad doesn't sleep. So what I mean by that is we're a 24/7 operation. If you flip to the next slide, we'll talk a little bit about cross-border shipping and the optionality that it provides. There's 4 questions that I would pose to you. First, which gateway should I use? Beto started off by talking about Union Pacific has the single most gateways. We have 6 different interchange points between the U.S. and Mexico. So Calexico, Nogales, Eagle Pass, El Paso, Laredo, and Brownsville, providing you optionality and ensuring that no matter where your product is in Mexico, that we can get you into and out of Mexico with a safe and reliable product. Who do I work with at the border? So this one expands a little bit beyond UP. You will need a customs broker, as many of you know. If you don't have a customs broker and you're looking for one, we have our International Customer Service Center that's based out of San Antonio, Texas. Those subject matter experts are all bilingual and can help you from a customs broker perspective. What kind of rail service should I choose? So this is a critical question. Beto talked about that there are 3 parts of his business, premium just being one. If you have heavy, dense product that you're trying to move and you have a rail siding that comes into or out of your facility, at least on one end, you may want to look at a carload solution. But if you are moving your product over the road truck and your customers are used to seeing a truck arrive or deliver to their facility, Intermodal is going to be the best solution for you. And we've talked about why UP should be something that you would consider in that. And then how do I keep my shipment safe? It will be important for you to make sure that you have a seal provided and placed on your equipment prior to waybilling your load. We have a damage prevention group here at Union Pacific that can assist you with the proper types of seals that you will need to be able to put on your equipment. But what I want to highlight on UP, I talked to you about our over 80,000 containers in our EMP UMAX fleet. We are putting GPS on all of those containers, as is the Norfolk Southern and the CSX on their equipment. And a GPS will now give you the ability to know where your container is and your freight is at all times. Does not need to be in a rail yard, does not need to be moving on rail. If it's out on the street, we will still be able to ping you and let you know if that box is empty, loaded, doors been opened, and where it's located at. So we're really making sure that we can provide a safe, reliable transportation solution for you. And then finally, I think that everybody today, I know I do this when I shop a lot online. And when I shop online, I want to make sure that the customer service program that provider has is solid, and that if something does go wrong and I need to talk to someone, that they have a good, solid customer service. At UP, we start with our National Customer Service Center, which is located here in Omaha, Nebraska. But we have found that we needed to be up against the border, and so we are we have our customer service group group located in San Antonio, Texas, all bilingual, all 24/7. And those customers can help you with anything from waybill issues. They deal with the Customs and Border Patrol. They talk to U.S. brokers, Mexican brokers, and our other railroad interchange partners. I've provided both phone numbers for you depending on where you're located so that you can contact them at all times. So in closing, nearshoring activity is happening before our eyes. We believe that rail is a viable and consistent product that you should consider when looking at your transportation solution needs. And Clarissa, I'll turn it back to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And remember, you can use your QR code that you see on your screen and scan and submit questions. We have a nice list of questions that have come in. Some you sent in advance, some have just come in. So my first question is for Eric and Beto. With nearshoring, intermodal is obviously a huge opportunity, but does UP have manifest options to support manufacturing as well? And Eric, you're on mute. Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Beto.
Oh, that's fine. So yes, we have also carload solutions, and we are, as we continue evolving on our intermodal service offering, we're also having evolution on the offering that we do on carloads, specifically in boxcars, and we are working on developing even tools to maximize the utilization of the capacity of the boxcars so that these shippers in Mexico can find a real solution also on our manifest service product.
And I'd point out too as well, when we think about all of our terminal capacity, we're in a good place to be able to handle additional manifest business. And also as another service, if you happen to be somebody who doesn't have their own rail cars, we provide services in which we provide those rail cars to you.
Awesome. Thank you. My next question is for you, Carrie. It's really about any customer feedback that you've received so far about the performance of our Falcon Premium service.
Yeah, so we have, Beto highlighted the Eagle and the Falcon Premium service. The Eagle service goes directly into Chicago. The Falcon service serves all of the Canadian markets. We have had tremendous feedback from customers. We've seen double-digit growth since January on our northbound and southbound business going out of Mexico and coming back in. This product runs both directions. From a transit time perspective, we are over 98% consistent on that service product. And to just give you a feel of what we look like, we are from Monterey. So we'll do Monterey to Chicago, we're 4.5 days. And from Monterey to Montreal, we are 6.1 days. So just a consistent product since we're over 98% on time, and a very reliable product and a very fast product. So we're really excited.
Thank you, Carrie. And that said, I have a follow-on question. When you think about Eagle and you think about Falcon, which we've talked about, what else? Are there any other partnerships in the work that you or Beto can highlight?
Yeah, so Beto also highlighted our Southeast service, which is the latest product that we have launched, which is putting you from anywhere in Mexico into the Southeast from an intermodal perspective. Eric also did a nice job of highlighting all of the additional capacity adds that we've got. So besides Mexico, I will tell you, we just launched a service last week that we did external, which is a new Z-Train service from City of Industry, so Southern California, to G2, which is in the heart of Chicago. So we are just continuing to create additional single driver to team driver type service for our customers across North America. And we will continue to expand on that.
Awesome. I'm going to ask a question that just came in that's connected to all this, and it's what southbound lanes currently have excess capacity, and what specific commodities is UP looking for in the next 90 days?
Yeah, so for southbound capacity, I think Eric also touched on this. From an intermodal or an automotive perspective, which are my areas of expertise, I will tell you we have open capacity in all lanes moving south. And as you know, I highlighted earlier, northbound is the heavy, we're almost 6-to-1 north coming out of Mexico. So if you have southbound freight that you are looking to try and find a transportation solution, we want to talk to you because it's really a good opportunity to help us balance those moves coming back south. And we're wide open from a capacity perspective.
Awesome. Thank you, Carrie. Now, this one is, what is the grace period for customs to be processed before document delay fees or demurrage fees are incurred? Is it different when shipments come out of Canada when you compare those to Mexico?
Yes. So it's when you consider the shipments, specifically in intermodal coming into Mexico, our Mexico Direct service is cleared in the interior ramps of Mexico. What that means is that you're going to bypass the border. You're going to get your shipment all the way into Monterrey or Silao. And then once that container is off the train, we will start the customs clearance process inside Mexico. We need to be coordinated with the Mexican broker for that. Definitely, it's part of the activities that we normally run on the day-to-day. And definitely, this coordination will help to have an expedited process. I can tell you that clearing loads in Mexico, bypassing the border, is much more efficient than waiting at the border to have paperwork done, to have customs, personnel available that they can go and give the paperwork to the truck that's going to go and cross border. When you ship by rail, you can use that transit time or the transit where the container is going or moving into Mexico to prepare all the paperwork that is needed. And once it gets to the ramp, once the shipment is on ground, let me say that, you can clear that in 1 or 2 days, and that expedites the service product without getting to fall in other kind of delays or demorages that freight can get, and have on-time deliveries to Mexican consignees.
Awesome, Pedro. I'm going to ask a follow-up question that's somewhat related, and it's, if a waybill is rebuilt, what's the proper procedure to ensure the new waybill will properly clear in both the U.S. and Mexico, such as FXE railroads?
Well, Carrie outlined it I would say, very well in the last slide. If you don't have a solution in my UP part of our UP website, you can address that matter with our International Customer Service Center, whether by email or giving a call to them. They will help you to address the specific matter related to that waybill and make sure that once it has been rebuilt, it will go to the destination in Mexico and get into the interchange without any problems.
Thanks, Beto. And then an unrelated question, what's your take on the potential impact of the election in the United States and the result of that election on Mexico? Actually, it's a follow-up, both U.S. and Mexico elections. What's the potential impact of those election results on what we're doing?
Yeah. So in the context of the evolution of trade between Mexico and the United States, and that chart that I was sharing in my presentation, and I want to refer to that because of this reason. We have seen different administrations going on between Mexico and the United States, and we, as we see these administrations changing, we've seen this evolution coming stronger. As it started in 1994 with signing the free trade agreement, and the evolution that the agreement has had. I mean, right now with the USMCA, it's mostly an updated agreement within the three countries, and whether or whatever that happens in the election day, whether in Mexico in June the 2nd or late in November in the United States, I think we will see this region getting stronger on that partnership, and we will keep seeing these investments flowing into Mexico and this strong partnership of getting this transportation needs solved. So I think that, again, whether the results of the elections, we'll see this region strengthening on that end.
Thank you, Beto. And this question is for Eric. It's, how does Union Pacific plan to enhance its safety measures and protocols this year?
Sure. So in the context of nearshoring, which is obviously most related to the transportation of freight, our safety programs first focus on our own employees, making sure that as they come onto the railroad, especially as they're new, that they're properly trained. They get trained for more than 3.5 months before they even operate their first train. And even long after they've come onto the railroad, we have a number of different programs that focus on making sure that we go through annual training every year to ensure whether they are operating trains or fixing part of the railroad, they do that in the safest manner. Now, as it pertains to our service product, when we talk about safety, what we're really looking to do more than anything is to ensure that we reduce variability. Variability is the biggest underminer of our service product. So the work that we've done in using what we call Precision Train Builder, which is actually a physics engine that works with every single train we launch every day, which is more than 600 trains, just the freight trains every day, looking at every train and looking for opportunities to be able to modify in the appropriate manner. Where do we place the locomotives? How many cars do we put in front of the locomotives? Where do we put each car relative to other cars? And that's all done to reduce the risk of any kind of variability event over a line of road, or in other words, between origin and destination. It's a robust program across the entire company, and it's one that we're never entirely satisfied with, because as the world changes, we continue to look for new opportunities to enhance those safety programs.
Thank you. This next one's for Carrie. If I'm interested in rail and I'm not currently shipping by rail, what's the first step to get started?
Yeah, so I would encourage you. We have a very robust website that I would go out with to start. So it's uprr.com. Underneath there, the very first tab on the left is called Customers, and there are multiple ways that you can contact us. One, we've got all of our marketing and sales contacts for my team or the other two commodity teams out there that will give you a direct phone number. But if you want to provide your information, there's also a free form sheet that can say, I'm new to rail, and you will get a friendly UP person, sales rep, that will call you back and qualify what exactly it is that you are working on, and the best person to connect you with at the railroad. So the place to start, upr.com, go to the Customers tab, click on it, very easy, self-select from there.
Thank you, Carrie. Eric, can you talk about any capacity projects underway to support nearshoring related growth?
Sure. So first one that's most important on the manifest side is our work, and really has been a continued work in our Houston complex area. We have one of the largest hump yards in North America in Houston, and then we have an equally large one right next to it. We continue to make investments in the capacity of that yard, which is a combination of investing in technology as well as actually building more infrastructure into that yard. If you then move beyond that and you flip over to the intermodal side, it's many of the examples that I was sharing. Our work in Kansas City to build a brand new intermodal terminal where we already have one, but we want to make sure that we have the best intermodal terminal for our customers, as well as the additional capacity that we expect that we're going to need over the coming years. We've already completed construction of a new intermodal terminal in Twin Cities. We continue to make the investments down in Southern California. I mentioned Inland Empire, but I'd be remiss to not point out those investments are not just isolated to that one terminal. With 5 other terminals in that area, we continue to make investment in those as well. And then, of course, in Northern California, we continue to make investments, even including repurposing part of an intermodal terminal in Oakland, in which we're partitioning off a portion of it and then actually converting it to an auto ramp. I share that example because one of the things that we continue to push as a company is the agility to respond to new opportunities for growth. If you've got the growth, we'll find a solution for you.
Thank you, Eric. Next one's for Carrie. Carrie, produce by intermodal. Does it work? Mm-hmm. I mean, can you move produce?
Absolutely. So it requires a refrigerated container. We have several large private asset IMCs that move in the UP. I will tell you to date, what we have historically seen to date is that the product has trucked over the border, say Eagle Pass, Laredo, and they've transloaded it and then put it into a refrigerated container and moved it from there. But we are now starting to see customers wanting to move from the interior of Mexico. And again, we can connect you with intermodal provider that has refrigerated equipment.
Awesome. Thanks, Carrie. And then a follow-up to that, like what does rail offer that trucking can't in this market?
Yeah, so I highlighted a couple of those during my presentation. So I think that you as transportation managers have to choose what works best for your company, but some of the advantages of rail is that you avoid the border congestion with long wait times, potentially the need to have to transload your product once it's over. And a rail solution can offer you a rail direct from within Mexico all the way north and also south. And then the other thing is we're 24/7. The human factor we take out, and we can operate 24/7 to be able to provide a consistent and reliable product, whether that be during the work week or on the weekends as well, to keep that product moving forward.
Thank you. This next one, and we still have questions coming in, so thank you. We're going to try to get to them all and answer in a speedy way. Beto and Carrie, some people think doing business in Mexico is the same as U.S. domestic intermodal, but there are clearly differences. Can you share some advice for newcomers to the Mexico marketplace?
I would say that the main differentiator between domestic intermodal in the United States and cross-border intermodal is the border. I mean, we have the same service, the same connectivity, but with the border in the middle. And translating that into ground level, that's the customs clearance process. That's the only differentiator, I would say, between those two services. In order to achieve that or to address that matter, and as Kerry was mentioning, you can contact us. We'll be able to give educational sessions to you and your teams so that we can address that specific matter. The real context of it is what I was explaining earlier today, is that you're going to clear customs inside Mexico. So when you think about the Mexico direct product, let me say that we're pulling the border down to where the intermodal ramp is. So you're going to now clear the customs piece locally at the originating ramp or the destination ramp, with all the benefits that will have to your network, because now you have your shipment couple of hours, 4 hours away from where the border is, let me say that virtually, instead of having it 1,200 or 1,000 miles away from your facilities. That gives a different kind of execution, a different kind of access to how you process your supply chain. But definitely, as Kerry was elaborating, we can offer more consistency and better performance when it relates to on-time deliveries.
Thank you. This next question, I'm combining about 4 different questions into one around border closings. And it's, what is our plan of action when the border closes? Eric, I think this is a good one for you. What's the plan of action? How do we partner with Mexico railroads to detour trains? And what happens for a customer if the border closes? What happens? So how do we help customers? Yeah.
Yeah, and very unfortunately, we had to do this as an entire railroad system here most recently. When we have a border closure, or even the risk of a border closure, the first thing that both Union Pacific, FXC, as well as other railroads do is to understand first, how long do we expect that border closure to take? Sometimes it's very short, sometimes it's longer. Now, it's very infrequent that it happens, to be clear. But what we do is we go right into how can we minimize the impact to our service and our customer shipments within that service. So if one border crossing were to close, we look for opportunities to reroute that traffic to other border crossings. Our mission is to continue to move the freight, even if it's not the preferred method or the preferred route. We want to find an alternative route to keep it moving. In the event that we can't, we position our shipments as close to the border as we possibly can. So the moment that it opens up, we can continue to get back to normal operations. Now, while all of that's happening, our most important task is to be working with different government agencies, not just the Customs and Border Patrol, but that is our most important one, to help understand, is there anything that we can do to support their mission and whatever they're trying to accomplish to reduce or eliminate the situation that's created the closure. That can take a lot of different forms. And the most recent one, for example, we actually dispatched some of our special agents down to the border to assist the Customs and Border Patrol. It also gets into, as we think about opening the border crossing back up, how do we work with them to prioritize what traffic goes through? So I'm reading just a few pages off of the playbook. It's an extensive playbook because while we haven't had it happen very often, it can be impactful when we work to mitigate it in every way we possibly can.
So thanks, Eric. We have about 5 minutes left and about 5 questions. So we're going to do these speed round. But anyone, how can short lines help UP maximize on this nearshoring opportunity? How can short lines help?
Yeah, so what I would say is I had talked earlier about premium is just one side of the business. We also have our industrial and our bulk business. Short lines are instrumental in when a customer is not rail served on one end, being able to provide still a door-to-door carload service. So I would say if you are a short line and you are wanting to help us participate in this, that we would ask you to reach out because not all customers are going to have rail on both ends, but they have big, bulky commodities that need to move in a carload solution. And we have a solution, and that's either through a short line or a transload, which could also be on a short line.
I want to add on that, Kerry, that we do have solid partners in Mexico that can help us to integrate transloading services so that we can offer door-to-door products also in manifest. So with that, and in addition to the value that short lines can offer, we have integrated solutions that customers can get while getting also into the manifest network.
Perfect. Thank you. This next one is, what's the future for the Permian Basin area on the speed of service? Permian Basin area.
So as we think about that particular part of our network, that's one of the highest density, both in our track structure as well as the number of trains that we run there. That's a very fast service for us today. And if you're talking about manifest, it's fast. If you're talking about intermodal, it's actually one of our fastest lanes across the entire system. And most importantly, we have capacity on those routes for additional volume. So no concerns.
Awesome. And I know more questions are coming in, so apologies if we don't get to them. Who should I contact for southbound services? And do you all have brokers or your own equipment for drayage? Probably a website, yes. But go ahead, Karen.
Yeah, so on the intermodal side, we provide a wholesale service. We have Loop, which would provide a wholesale door-to-door, but in the end, you still have to go through an intermediary. If you go through Loop, Loop will be able to connect in with an IMC, and Loop provides those drayage services for you as well, contracts those drayage services out. And then on a southbound opportunity, again, I'm going to direct you to uprr.com. There, under the customer tab, we'll have the ability for you to connect directly in with my team. Or if you're a new customer, you can fill your information out and we will call you back directly.
Thanks. And Beto, this is a safety question related to cartels. Is there anything being done to reduce cartel danger to dray carriers in Mexico?
Well, that's collaboration between authorities and different organizations in Mexico are addressing the matter. It's strong communication that is being doing through different associations and chambers. Definitely, that's where the matter is being directed to, and hopefully we'll start seeing some results on that.
Thank you. And this next one, we might have answered in a presentation, but I'll hit it. Eagle Pass is growing exponentially. Is that something UPRR is pursuing to grow as well?
Yes, that is correct. Eagle Pass has grown double digit, and I would say good double digit numbers. And we're addressing the matter. We're prepared for that. I think it's important to mention that UP has been helping these nearshoring companies, not only in the recent wave, this third, fourth wave that I was mentioning, but also since it all started back in 1994 for early 1990s. We've been helping and supporting companies to be successful when addressing the market. We will keep doing that. And for that, we're implementing efficiencies at Eagle Pass to increase the number of trains we interchange on a daily basis. We have a significant goal to raise that number. We've been addressing it with a performance that is helping us to achieve the goal that we have. So definitely these efficiencies that were described earlier are mostly helping us to address this growth that we're seeing in that gateway.
Okay, I'm going to ask one question and squeeze in an answer in 30 seconds, and we'll have hit them all. Do we have options for ocean units to go cross-border from Mexican ports? If not, are we planning to have them soon?
Yeah, today we don't do international business cross-border in any magnitude or scale. But I will tell you that, when we saw the U.S. West Coast get congested a few years ago, customers did start to expand and look at those Mexican ports. So never say never. It's definitely an option. And as we continue to grow, we will evaluate that.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank all of you for joining us to learn more. Please know this is recorded, and if you registered, we are going to send you the recording. So if you joined later and missed some things or you want to replay things, you will get the recording. So please know that. And again, thank you so much for joining uprr.com for more. Thank you, Carrie, Beto, and Eric. Everyone have a great day.
Thanks, everybody.
All right. Thank you.